Hey there cozy gamers, my name is Black and welcome to my channel, CasaBLACK Gaming, a place where I normally cover MMOs or survival games, and while in the past I have occasionally played a cozy game or two, I never considered creating content for them because for one, there are usually already a ton of great content creators for those games, but also because I did not feel like I was the best voice for a cozy community. However, after my daughters got me to try out Palia, I was pleasantly surprised at what I found, and so here I am creating my first cozy game review, offering up not only my male point of view to try and dissuade any notion that this game might not be something for your average typical male gamer, but also to show that Palia has some very similar features that many of my MMO kin can get behind and enjoy. And I also have some thoughts on how Palia could also be good to get players who have never picked up an MMO before to actually do so. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to the review. Palia is a life sim definitely similar in vein to many other cozy games out there, where you begin your journey in a small town with inhabitants that you must earn trust through doing things for them and learning to harvest resources, fishing, foraging, hunting, mining, cooking, catching insects, furniture making, gardening, and even home or base building. So basically nothing new, right? We've seen enough of these games come along since Stardew Valley that they are pretty much old hat at this point, but what makes Palia stand out? So when playing games like Stardew Valley or even something newer like Disney's Dreamlight Valley or my wife's personal favorite Dinkum, these are all great single player cozy games, and while yes they might offer up some sort of multiplayer feature where you can visit another player's home or even play a little together, in most cases it's just a gimmicky sort of feature that has drawbacks like not being able to progress all players questing or achievements together, and is just really a visit feature versus a full-on playing together feature. That's where Palia is completely different. Palia calls itself an MMO, meaning massively multiplayer online, and in fact, Palia is strictly an online service game. You don't have the option to play offline on your own, and that is by design. The game world is constantly running. So that already changes up things because of how many cozy games play out to where you're having to complete so much before it's late into the evening and you need to return to bed to start the next day and tally up your achievements for the day. With Palia, you don't even have to go to sleep. You stay up all night gathering, decorating, or playing mini games with others, but more on that in a moment. Being able to add your friends and family members and go out together to harvest minables, foraging for plants and trees, or hunting together or fishing is just so much better than going at these cozy games alone. Or if you prefer to be alone, you can do that as well without ever feeling like you're forced to play with others, except for a couple of instances that I'll touch on in a moment. However, if you do group up, there are bonuses. So let's say you want to play solo. Well, that's fine, but there will be some instances where that can limit you, such as with a certain tree type that is emitting the magical property known as flow. Every endgame evening at midnight, a flow grove will appear in the Bahari Bay map, and these trees will have a purple eerie glow about them. Now most of these trees cannot be chopped by one player alone, but requires at least 2 or 3. There are some tiny trees that can be tackled by a single player, so you could technically still gather these, but waiting for a group is so much better and you don't even have to join a party to get the resources. Now shortly after midnight, when someone finds the grove, they will usually call it out in chat and alert everyone to its presence and say they'll chop it like around 3 AM. Now this gives players time to get to that location, and once you arrive it's okay to go ahead around to each of the trees and just make a chop real quick so you're marking it. So long as you do this, you will get credit and receive the resources once they are cut by the group, whether you're part of a group or not. Some players will also drop a honey lure while you're out waiting for 3 AM, so you can all gather around and catch bugs together. This is an excellent way to level up your bug collecting, so yet another good thing about grouping up. Now, as of the latest patch at the end of June 2024, there's even more reasons to group with party bonuses. For those in a party who remain within so many meters of one another, you will both receive the resources gathered by each other, and a chance that double resources can also populate, making grouping up even more rewarding. Now, one thing added in the same update is an achievement for grouping, which is growable furniture. As you group up and do things together, whether that be gathering resources, fishing, bug collecting, or etc., you earn XP toward the next tier. For starters, there are only 5 tiers, and I'm already far into the 3rd tier after only a week and just a few times of grouping up with my daughters and my wife, so it's not too much of a grind and seems pretty reasonable to obtain, even if you might not like grouping up a lot with others. Now, some might not like such a cool decoration being tied behind a group activity, but even for solo players, I've seen many in chat offering to do things with others for the buff, so it's not hard to find someone to do things with. And do remember, this game is meant as a multiplayer cozy game first and foremost, so I don't think it's too unreasonable and gives those who play Palia for that reason more of a reason to play together. One other play together piece of the puzzle are mini games that may or may not require you to play with others. One such game is called Hot Pot, which is basically a 4-player card game that happens in a certain underground location that I'm not going to spoil here. It's a year-round game that also just recently had more rewards added to make players want to come back and play, and those rewards are the form of pirate decorations. The game itself is kind of like Uno and Rummy mixed together and is easy to understand and one of my favorite things to do. The game starts every in-game day at 6 p.m. and goes until 3 a.m. You earn gold tokens for every game you play and 2 if you win the hand. Then you spin these tokens on a spinning wheel for a chance to get said pirate prizes along with other items that can randomly drop. Now, if you did not want to play with real players, you could sit down at an empty table, and after a minute and a half, a game will start with NPCs covering the other player slots, so you can still play without others. You earn gold as well while playing this game, which can be a plus, so definitely go and check that out. Now, as mentioned before, Palia will have you covered in features that are similar to your favorite cozy game. There are wonderful NPCs with varying personalities to do tasks for or to befriend or romance if you're into that sort of thing. You can craft at home and create numerous items from furniture to decor or even structures with the recently added building block pieces. You can create customized structures such as crafting areas, sheds, or even tree houses, or whatever your mind can come up with. This is a system that will surely set Palia even further apart from many cozy games that have limitations when it comes to customizing your buildings, and it looks like we're seeing just the beginnings of what is sure to be a very robust and expanded upon feature in the near future. My one request is to allow better refined placement on all axes, and maybe triangle pieces to create true arches or circular designs. The fishing is also no slouch, and the game has a variety of fish to catch and showcase. The rewards for all trades are also well paced and decent. When it comes to getting your first few housing pieces, which can be really expensive in gold, just leveling up your furniture crafting will net you some amazing housing rewards. So if you find yourself running out of space for a kitchen, etc., just craft furniture and you will soon receive something to expand your house. Now, I cannot leave this feature section without mentioning the cooking. Now, in many survival or MMO games I've played, cooking requires you to place an item into the inventory window of a campfire or stove, wait 20 seconds, and then remove the cooked item. That is not how cooking in Palia works. Now, I'm sure this feature was taken from some cooking simulator game or perhaps maybe even one of the many cozy games that might already be out there, but regardless, it was new to me and I really enjoyed the extra layers the devs put into it here. And yes, you can also cook with other players, which might sound kind of weird at first, but once you get cooking and see how complex it can be, you will quickly understand and might even want to have cooking parties. I also want to mention Palia is available on Steam, Epic Games, the Switch, and also as a standalone launcher on Windows, which is how I play it. You can link your account between 2 sources, so for me I have mine linked between the PC launcher and Switch, and you can literally flip between those two and you're playing the same thing and can take right up where you left off. It's really great if you want to just take the game with you. I have heard people say that they had issues unlinking from their Switch, so if you want to switch your Switch account to another account, you will need to put a ticket in with the Palia support folks for that. Now, this is not really a feature, but it sort of is, and something I really wanted to drill into anyone's head who is contemplating giving Palia a try, and that is that the community is pretty great. That is something else that makes Palia stand out and makes their online presence even more spectacular, is that so much of the game is geared toward helping one another. Like I mentioned earlier with the flow trees, the community is pretty good about helping and waiting for others to participate. People are always calling out special nodes to harvest in chat or marking them with flares so others can find them. Now, of course, every game has its faults and Palia is no exception. Besides the multiplayer aspects being a turnoff for some, which why you would want to even play it knowing it's meant to be multiplayer is kind of beyond me, but I get it. It's a fair criticism. No, the criticism I will lay at this game's feet is its decision to only use a cosmetic shop as its source of income. When there are so many cozy games out there on Steam that charge you anywhere from $15 to $60 or more, I found it odd that Palia did not charge anything at all. I mean, nothing. You can download and play the game absolutely all the way through for free, and it's worth at least $30 to $40 up front. But having a cosmetic only source of income, and then the prices being somewhat high for those cosmetics, ranging from roughly what amounts to $12 to over $50 for an outfit or set of outfits, is a bit steep for some of your more casual gamers who might not take into account that a game like this has server costs. I see nothing wrong with charging people somewhere south of $40 retail for this game and maybe $25 on sale, so you know every person who steps foot in the game has at least paid something, and maybe if you charge $50, giving people $15 in cosmetic money to buy something from the store so they can get a taste might be a nice option to go to as well. I'm not sure if a subscription is the way to go here unless it included cosmetic allowance money as part of your monthly sub as an option, but the game just feels too high quality to not have to pay anything, and I do wish the cosmetic prices were a bit cheaper, which might get some people to respend more often. Now, I myself waited until my second week before paying anything to make sure I would stick around and that the game was something I could see myself playing regularly. I have no problem paying for a game or supporting something that I constantly play, especially an online game, because I know running an online service is pretty expensive. But your average cozy gamer might not know this or care. This is a solid AAA feeling game and nothing like an indie game with a small team. For the most part, the game plays great for me, at least with minimal crashes. Well, actually, I've only had like one crash personally, and it runs smooth. In fact, I'm trying to think of any performance issues I've had, and I cannot really think of any hitches or anything, but of course, I am playing on a PC with pretty beefy specs. I can say that the Switch version does not feel as smooth, but it still plays well, but my time over there has only been like 5% of my total time spent. Speaking of time spent, I have not yet hit what I feel is the end game, and with so many dailies to do, including checking for reward caches that pop up every day in game as a reward to find, I could see this being something to play even if only low-key for months or longer. But you do get the sense that once you get your home plot looking like you want, that you might find yourself running out of things to do. But that's where seasonal events and the true glory of an online service game can come into play, because online games need regular updates, and so there should always be a reason to come back and play, and with rumored new areas coming to the game sometime soon, I definitely see myself coming back over and over again. I want to end my thoughts on why I enjoyed this game. As a male in my late 40s with 2 grown daughters and a wife gamer, I have often not taken to a cozy game because in many ways they feel geared more toward women, and you need only look at the Twitch section for Palia to see mostly women are streaming it, and that's fine. This might be something many male gamers have an issue with, but as an MMO gamer, I want to say that almost all of these features in Palia are something we have all experienced before in MMOs. Now, some people might not enjoy crafting in MMOs, or use their house as nothing more than a trophy room, or do not enjoy building. But I know many who do, and don't let the coziness and cuteness of Palia fool you. There is much depth here, and for those loot goblins out there who enjoy those shiny carrots, there is much to enjoy. One thing I like about Palia is that I can play it on the go with the Switch, or can also play it AFK if I'm watching something. I also enjoy the chill vibe of it, and with the new building materials, you can literally make some cool structures and make it your own. If you don't feel like playing something combat heavy and just want to chill and yet craft or build or fish, or even play hot pot, Palia will scratch so many itches. So for those of you who absolutely do enjoy Palia already, and this is your first online game and you may want more, might I suggest that Palia is a gateway drug to true MMOs. If you enjoy the crafting, fishing, housing decor, and reputation building, then there are some MMOs that will cater to those needs, with some going really big on those features. I would recommend Elder Scrolls Online, which has some of the best housing of any game, with you being able to customize your home in more ways than you can here on Palia. Guild Wars 2 is introducing housing in August, and that is sure to kickstart a renaissance for that game in this department. Now there are others out there like Final Fantasy XIV, but the two I mentioned come to mind, overall being great games with good storytelling and what I deem as a more cozy feel at times, and their housing is pretty accessible, or at least Guild Wars 2 seems like it will be. We still need more details, which should be coming out soon. And that's not even including all the cosmetics you can either buy or earn in these games to customize your character. And they both have mounts as well, which brings a whole new level of travel and customization for you, which is something I hope Palia adds at some point. Alright, so that's it for my thoughts on Palia from a different perspective than some might have. Go out, download this game, and give it a try. It's literally completely free to play as much as you want. If you do enjoy it and play it often, then I do suggest throwing some money their way to help them continue, as this is a cozy game that deserves to stick around, since it's the only one currently that offers up this amazing multiplayer experience. Now there is a little bit of news that came as I was working on the script, and that is that Singularity 6, the company who created this game, was bought up by Daybreak Games, who owns other large games, mostly MMOs such as EverQuest, Lord of the Rings Online, DC Universe Online, and many more. Now to me, this counters some of the recent bad news that has been plaguing Palia with layoffs of staff, etc. for the past few months. Daybreak has kept these other games running at the same pace that they were at, and Palia might even get some of its devs hired back, so we'll have to see what changes, if any, are going to come. Regardless, I feel better about Palia sticking around, and the game is picking up steam, literally within the last few weeks, having seen its highest player count since launching, so it's definitely getting better with each update. Anyway, stay cozy out there as you craft your way to greatness.